Hey everyone, welcome back to Cali Plants. Me again, Mark. Today we're back at the greenhouse and we're gonna do another repotting session here at our place. And because it's kind of a cloudy day today, so yeah, I think we can work here without a lot of heat. So let me just give you a short, quick tour on the plants that we have here. Okay. So currently this is our cactus area, and this is our other succulents area. And I've cleared up the space. Don't worry, all of our plants are down below, okay, because I have been watering, I have been doing some repotting. So as I've said before in our videos, I don't expose them to full sun unless they're established or unless they're like drying out. Okay, if they're still soaking wet after watering, I will keep them right here at the bottom of the greenhouse. Okay, so I watered some of our hawortias, some of our other succulents. I've been doing a lot. Okay, and also for today's video, I will be repotting some of our echeverias, okay, because I've seen that some of our echeverias are not doing that much, so I think we will be repotting a handful. I will be making some potting mixes. This one in particular isn't doing so well, okay. We have also this one. I think I will have to repot this one. Really, I'm just getting overloaded with plants that I need to repot. And this one as well, they're not that performing so nicely. So yeah, I think I will have to repot them. Okay. So here is our um, basin that I have just cleaned up. I will make a setup here. We will make our potting mix. And also while we're at it, we're gonna be discussing the topic of this video. We're gonna be talking about the differences between experienced and beginner growers. Okay. If you've been following the channel, then you would know that I'm already making videos for more than a year now. I think we're going into 2 years now. I'm just not sure. So you can say that I'm quite experienced a little bit, though I wouldn't say that I'm a professional or that I will call myself an actual expert. Okay, I'm not that much of an expert. I just have some experience and I will be sharing with you the differences of what an experienced and a beginner grower might do. Okay, so we'll be talking about 4 different factors. So while we're making our potting mix, while we are repotting, we're going to be talking about that. But for now, let's just switch a camera so that we can make the potting mix that we need to make for our succulents. Okay, so we have our pot here. Let me just add the pumice that we are going to use. Okay, we have some of our almus compost right here. Okay, so I think we'll start with the discussion of the routine of experienced versus beginner growers. A lot of beginner growers actually tend to like watch over their succulents like too much. So they give their succulents too much care. They always look at their plants and they always try to do something around in their garden, especially if they're just beginners, they're just starting out. So succulent growing overall, it's a very exciting thing to start with because a lot of people don't have experience with growing plants. So they want to be immersed in the experience of growing succulents, of caring for plants, of making potting mixes. So a lot of beginners actually do that. So that is the routine, watering their succulents, okay? And sometimes they just overdo it. And that's also a thing that I have to struggle with even right now. I would say that I still have to fight back myself, hold back myself from giving my succulents too much care, too much watering, because really giving them too much care is what kills the succulents. They like to be left alone, really, and they actually survive better if you don't do anything or if you don't do too much with them. So yeah, that's really my experience with growing succulents. Now, let me just add some perlite to this. Okay. Experienced growers, on the other hand, they will know that if they leave their succulent, it will be alright for these plants. Okay. They will know how to deal with the plants that they have, and they will be much more confident. And yeah, overall, experienced growers don't actually spend a lot of time on their plants. Okay. I have been in other greenhouses. I have been to other growers. I have talked to sellers in the highlands. They said that a lot of them like visit their succulents like 3 times in a week. Okay, they don't always stay in their greenhouses, so that's just how it is. Okay, sometimes succulents need to be left alone. If you're not planting succulents, if you're not doing anything with them, might as well just leave them behind. Okay, Don't pour all your time and effort all the time on succulents. They should be, how would I say this? They should be regarded as something of a side hobby and not a full on obsession. Okay, you don't have to watch over them every day. Okay, you can just leave them behind, just like any other plants. Other people will leave other plants alone. They won't have any issues with leaving other plants alone, but they will have issues with succulents because succulents are really adorable and they really attract your eyes and they really look good. So you tend to give more attention to that because they look good. But treat them like any other plant. Give them some time to dry out, to develop on their own. Don't watch them too much. Don't water them too much. That is what I would say for the routine. Now also, experienced growers know when to care for their plants. Okay, plant needs are varying depending on the state that they're in, depending on the season that you're in, and experienced growers will take that into consideration much more expertly. Okay, they will know how to take those conditions so that they can utilize it to make bigger plants. Okay, for example, like what I did here in the greenhouse these past hot days, I didn't buy a lot of succulents and I didn't mess with them too much because it was too hot. I haven't been watering. So yeah, I think that there is, I haven't killed a lot of my succulents. So I think there is some success to that. Okay. So you will just have to know when succulents need care. So particularly during the summer, in the hottest times of the year, you wouldn't have to watch over them too much unless they're burning. Because in those summer seasons, they will not be growing anyways, so you don't have to watch them too much. For example, I don't worry over my succulents if I don't watch them or if I don't look at them for about a week. That doesn't mean death for my succulents. No, they can still survive after a week. Okay, so I think this is a nice potting mix. Yeah, I think this is already a lot. You can see that I'm not using pure pumice anymore. There's a lot of organic materials and there is perlite in there as well. I'm getting coffee. Okay, I'm getting a bit coffee because is coffee the word that I'm looking for? Because I've sifted the perlite right here. I used to sift it outside. Okay, but I think that's about it. Now let's switch the camera and I will show you the plants that we can repot in this session. Okay. Okay, so we have a lot to repot right now. Okay, I hope you can hear me. You can see all the plants that I've brought here. Okay, they're not doing so well. So yeah, I intend to repot them. This is an RG. Okay, I used to think that this had enough organic materials, but it's not growing. It's not putting on much growth. So yeah, we're gonna see what will happen if I repot it into a new potting mix. Okay, so we have that, and we also have these albicans. Okay, I really love these adorable chubby plants, but it's not doing it for me right now. It's not putting on growth. The onslow as well, not putting on growth, but it's still getting plump after watering, but it's not growing too much. I also have a handful of other plants here that these are all new. So I'm hoping that we can get more growth out of them and we can make sure that their roots are nice in this repotting session. Okay, so we have that. We also have this one. Okay. Another Echeveria in this batch didn't actually do so well, so I'm thinking that I also have to replace the potting mix of all the plants in that batch because I think that I made a mistake with the potting mix. Okay, so that's just how it is. That's just how it goes. Okay, now we're gonna go to the second difference of experienced and beginner growers. Okay, let me just grab a pot here so we can repot while we're talking about it. And I think the second one is the experimentation. Okay, a lot of people would say, "Oh, experiment on your plants. Okay, figure out which things work on them. Figure out what routine and what type of potting mix you can use on them." And if you're a beginner, and that's actually nice to experiment so that you can figure it out on your own which potting mixes work for them, what watering routine works for them, because every grower is unique in their own way. Some growers can make the plant survive in a lot of mummies because they water a lot. Some others won't be watering a lot, so they need to have more organic materials. So you have to figure that out on your own. But if you're already getting much more experience, then you will lose some of that experimentation as you move along, and then you will know what techniques and what strategies would really work for you right away. Okay, because you already have an idea. Okay, so if you're a beginner and if you're still on this experimental stage, don't worry too much because you will get used to it. You will learn more as you go along, and once you know the exact routine that you need and the exact type of potting mixes that you are comfortable with, then you will know that you're already an experienced grower and you won't have to experiment anymore. Okay, and yeah, a lot of this experimentation, you really have to do it because you really want. Okay, so there is some roots on it. Okay, yeah, but on the other parts of the potting mix, yeah, it didn't reach too deeply into the potting mix. There is too much pumice on that. Okay, so yeah, that is one experiment that I will not do again, which is why we're using a lot of organic materials right now. Okay, you would actually want to avoid experimentation anymore once you see some development on your plants. This is actually one thing that I will have to do from now on. Like I shouldn't be experimenting anymore. I shouldn't be trying out new methods anymore because I find that the methods that I've done with some of my plants are already working. So I just have to replicate that on my newer plants, on my other succulents, and I shouldn't be experimenting anymore because I already found out what works. And for me, the potting mix that we're using right now, the alus compost and the pumice and the perlite, this is what works for me in my area, and in the growing routine that I have right now, my gardening routine. So it works. It's in harmony right now, which is why I shouldn't be experimenting with other ingredients and other type of stuff anymore. Okay, which is why I would really avoid using these soilless potting mix from now on. Actually, I buy them from the same seller, the soilless potting mix and the alnus compost, and I think that I will avoid using the soilless potting mix right now because it doesn't, you can see here, the plant doesn't establish into it. Okay, I think I mixed some alnus compost in this one, which is why the plant has some roots. But if it didn't have any alnus compost, it won't have any roots at all. Okay, which is why we're using a lot of alnus compost right now so that we can see more roots on our plants. Okay, it's nice, and I'm actually happy that we got to make this video because these plants are not fully dead yet. Okay, they still have some life on them because if your plant is already struggling too much, a repot might not benefit them right away. You might actually cause them to die even further because they're already very weak. Okay, but we're still glad that this one has some plumpness to it still. Okay, so which is why repotting it is still possible. If we waited a little longer and if there are already like a huge loss of leaves here, then we won't be able to repot this and it will be just a throwaway plant. Okay, I think we're gonna be running out of topics because we're already halfway on the listed topics that I made. But yeah, we're gonna push on and we're still on just our second plant to repot. Okay, we also have some roots on this one and I'm so happy about that. Okay, we have something to begin with, and yeah, they can expand those roots so that we can see more growth on their new potting mix. Okay. So on our next, so the experimentation, the routine, and the ingredients that you're using, you will settle once you have better experience. You will learn what works for you. And just as I said earlier, once you know what works for you, try not to stray too much from it. Okay, once you already have a strategy that works, don't experiment any further because sometimes if you experiment further, you will just get more losses over time. So once you have a strategy that works, stick to it. Try to replicate it on your other plants, and you can see a lot more success on your plants overall once you do that. And I would say this is true when it comes to crassulas, echeverias, cryptopetalums, and sedums. Okay, I think they have just the same amount of care, okay, with each other compared, maybe not if they have very small leaves like the senecio that we had, or echeverias that are very tiny that have these narrow and thin leaves, so you have to add a little more organic materials to that because they will dry out faster and you have to water them much more. But generally speaking, a lot of succulents will work together in the same potting mix and the same gardening routine that you will be doing. So yeah, you don't have to change a lot with each succulent. So I would say that is true with aloes, haworthias, crassulas. They generally have the same type of care. So once you find a thing that works with some of your plants, try to replicate it with your other plants, and you might see that they will all do the same. They will all do nicely. Okay, most of the time they will do that because they're the same succulents. Okay, so we have that. Actually, thinking about it, looking back right now, I just realized that some of my larger succulents aren't actually in a pure alnus compost type of potting mix, which is why they're not growing too much. So I will have to fix that, and I will have to move them into an alnus type potting mix later on, which is why you're gonna see me do a lot of repotting from here on out. And also, I'm not buying a lot of succulents because I think I need to work on my current succulents before I buy more. Okay, and actually, that is the third topic that we're gonna be discussing: buying succulents. Okay, let me just like move this aside and let's reuse this pot. Okay, I have a lot of pot just hanging around that I'm grabbing everywhere and I'm using to repot our succulents. Okay, so the third difference with experienced and beginner growers is buying succulents. Okay, a lot of beginners they will buy a lot of succulents. And I'm not saying that once you're experienced that you should avoid buying succulents. I think succulents are a really nice thing to buy, and succulents are very affordable. They're very cheap, and there's a lot of succulents around, so you can actually buy a lot most of the time. But beginners tend to be more obsessed about it. Okay, they tend to be more like they, how would I explain this? But that's what I did a lot of times in the past. Okay, I used to buy a lot of succulents, and I didn't think about it actually. I thought about, okay, I can still make some succulents alive, so probably I will buy more, and it will increase my chances of success if I buy more and if I experiment more and if I spend more. Okay, but once you are more experienced, you will not be focused on buying anymore, but rather you will be focused on growing the succulents that you currently have and propagating them and then multiplying them. Okay, because buying actually is kind of like an obsession at the beginning only, but once you're used with the succulents that you have, you won't buy anymore. And the buying habits, the stuff that we buy actually changes as we get more experience. Okay, that's what I'm also gonna say. Um, if you are a beginner, you tend to buy more plants rather than gardening materials. Okay, some other people will buy too much succulents that their space won't be able to handle it anymore, and then later on, once their succulents are dying, they will suddenly make space for it. Okay, and that is one thing that I would, if you're a beginner, I would recommend you not do at the beginning parts of your gardening journey. Try to focus on finding a place for your plants, finding the potting mix for them before buying a lot of them. Okay, because if you buy a lot, you will just have more plants to kill. Okay, you don't have that much experience yet, so if you buy a lot, you will be killing a lot as well. And also, if you don't have the space for it, then there's no point in buying succulents because you cannot grow them because you don't have the space for them. Okay, so it will just naturally die later on. Okay, if you don't have like a greenhouse or a place for them, if you're just going to be putting them like by the sidewalk where they will get stepped on, you will risk more damage on your plants, and it will make you much more miserable later on, rather than if you invest on a place for them in the beginning, and then you can like plant a lot of them because you already have the space for them, then that will give you much more joy later on. So if you're starting out, don't buy a lot of succulents right away. Okay, and yeah, if you can still help it, if you can still like hold yourself back, okay, try to make the succulents that you have grow a lot more before you buy new succulents. So try to propagate your succulents first, let them grow, let them multiply before you add new ones to your collection. Now me, I will just be buying always because I do this for a living. But if you're a hobbyist, okay, don't stress yourself with the succulent that, oh, I will not be able to buy that succulent later on because it will already be phased out. Okay, oh, this succulent is cheap now, it might get expensive later on. That's not how the succulent market works, okay? Succulents usually stay their price for a very long time. They don't change prices too much. They will get cheaper, but once they get cheaper, they will usually not get much more expensive anymore, okay? That's just how succulents are. You will not be like you will not run out of succulents to buy. There will always be succulents around. So yeah, what you can do is invest more on your growing methods before you invest on succulents. Okay, we're gonna move on to the fourth difference of um, beginners. Oh, this has a lot of fruits. I'm actually surprised at the mass of fruits that this one has, and I thought that it wasn't that fruited yet. Okay, but that's good. That means that we have something to work on. So the fourth one is dealing with death. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Beginners usually tend to like worry a lot when their succulents die. They like cry over it. They like bother too much when a plant or when one of their plants gets smudged. Okay, if their plants get touched by other people and the farina gets rubbed off, they will be worried over that already. Okay, they want their plants to be pristine, to be beautiful. They don't want anyone touching it, and also they don't want their plants dying. And what happens is, if you worry too much about plant death, you will actually be discouraged later on from buying more succulents because you see that your plants are dying. Okay, and a lot of people, when they get discouraged, they actually stop buying succulents. Okay, but really, what I would say is whether you are an experienced grower or you're a beginner grower, you will get dead plants either way. Okay, it doesn't change. When you are an experienced grower, you will still get dead plants. Doesn't mean that you are experienced that no plants of yours will die. Okay, the amount of death that you have on your greenhouse may stay the same no matter how long you are growing succulents, which is why I would recommend that you get over the pain of having dead succulents. Like, just get over it because it's not a big deal. Okay, you can still buy new succulents. You can buy that variety again. You will find that in the market again, and you can buy more again. Now, if you are just like um, very, not that rich, okay, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, then that might be something that you will have to worry about. But even if the plants are expensive, they can still get cheaper and you can still buy them later on. Once you manage to save a few pennies, okay, once you manage to save a few pesos, okay, here in the Philippines, then you will still be able to buy succulents later on. You don't have to worry about it really, okay. That's just how it is. You learn how to grow a plant and by killing it, and once you have already killed it, you will know how to avoid killing it later on, and you will grow from that, from the death. Okay, think of the death as something that you should be expecting, and then you can grow from it. Okay, you can learn how to adjust the care that you are giving so that you won't kill your succulents, and don't worry about death too much. Okay, because some other people, Jake, I would read on Facebook that they will say, oh, I just killed another plant of mine. I'm not gonna be buying succulents anymore. Okay, but yeah, I would say that use the death of your plant as something that, like a puzzle, like a challenge. Okay, use it as a challenge for you to learn, solve what killed them, and then you can grow from it. Don't think as of death of your plant death as like a total defeat. It's not 100% defeat. Okay, you will get defeated if you feel defeated, but if you don't worry about it too much, yeah, you can still buy that succulent anyway. If you don't let it affect you, then you can move on. You can buy the succulent again, or if you didn't like how it like behaved, like for example, you saw a plant and you see that it's nice, that it looks good, but if you didn't like the way it behaved in your area or with the care that you have, if you don't like how it responded to the care that you're giving, if you really don't like the plant, okay, because sometimes you will learn to hate a plant that way, okay, then you can just forget about it and buy a different variety, okay. You don't have to buy succulents over and over. You can actually get more experience with buying a lot more different varieties, okay. But also, if you want that plant, you can still buy it. Okay, it's not like there won't be any of that plant in the market anymore. Okay, because succulent growers are everywhere, and prices will just go down. Okay, they will not stay up for very long, so you don't have to worry about that. Succulents, I would say, are not that really irreplaceable things that you can't buy anymore. No, they are very affordable. They are very available. You will not be running out of succulents anytime soon. So it kind of matters more that you know how to care for them rather than if you kill them or if they die. Okay, what matters more is your experience and not the plant itself. Okay, because once you get the experience, you can grow as much plants as you want. Okay, if a plant dies, yeah, you can still buy another one. Okay, it's not like the end of the world if a plant of yours die. Okay, that's just what I do here. I will buy succulent varieties over and over again just to see what works on them. And once I find something that works with them, I will not buy them anymore and I will just be able to grow what I have currently. Okay. So yeah, I think that I hope that you're getting what I'm saying. Okay, I'm just saying this like from my mind. I don't have a script for this. I just listed the things that I would like to discuss. Okay, but I really hope that you get what I'm saying here and you have an understanding of what stage am I in right now in my growing succulents. Okay, because I wouldn't like want to think of myself as not progressing because still we're getting like struggling plants and we're dying plants, but don't think of it as not progressing. Actually, you can use every death as a way to progress yourselves. Okay, and I will not say that I will have a perfect garden. I will still have to learn more. So yeah, experience really lets you learn that there's more to learn. Okay, once you have more experience, you will understand that you need to learn more, you need to study more so that you can get more success. Okay. Growing succulents is like a constant learning process. Okay. Now also, I read some comments. I'm going to go on to the comments right now of buying this plant. They see them surveillance from me because they don't have that in their area. I think it's in Thailand or in Malaysia or Indonesia, Southeast Asia. I'm sorry, I'm not shipping overseas right now, so you won't be able to buy that succulent from me. Okay, though there is a lot of these succulents, the sedums or violins, from Korean sellers, so you can buy them if you have importers in your area. Let's answer a lot more, other more comments here on the channel. I think I can remember a few comments. I think there was one that really liked the video on monkey tail cactus, so I'm really happy that you liked it. Okay, and it doesn't have a lot of views right now, but I know that because it's a care guide video, people will discover it sooner or later. Those who are interested in monkey tail cactus and with string plants. And what other comments is there? Okay, there is one positive comment saying that she's really glad that I have a video that does so well with my viewers, and I'm actually really glad that the last video we have on the channel actually did so well. It had 2,000 views by now while recording this video, so I'm really glad that it did well because I used to think that not a lot of people will be growing succulents anymore, okay, because of the state of life that we're in. We're going into a much more normal state of living here in the Philippines. It's no longer the pandemic, so people are focusing their time on other things in their life as well. But I'm actually surprised that a lot of you are still interested with our jade plants and the plants that we repotted the last time. Okay, actually they're still here. I haven't watered them. There they are. Okay, if you're watching this video, it will already probably be a day after I recorded it. So probably I will water it tonight. Okay, they're still alive. They're just here at the bottom of the greenhouse and they're not stretching too much. Okay, because I haven't watered them. They're still dry. Okay, probably I will water them later tonight. Okay, but I think that's about it for the plants that we have repotted right now. I won't be including the other plants that I will be repotting because this video will get too long. Let me just clean up the space that we have here and I will show you the plants that we have repotted. Okay, so let's go to that. Okay, so here they are, and here are the plants that we have repotted. I think this is I really forgot the name, but these two I bought at the same time, and they have kind of the same appearance. But I think this one is White Dew, and the other one is I really forgot the name. Okay, so I will just look it up. Um, Probably, but if you can figure out the names, then you can comment it down below. These are two different Echeveria hybrids that I bought a few months back. With this one, actually, I bought them at the same time, and they weren't doing so well. They were always dry, so I figured that it would be time to repot them. And there was one plant in that batch that struggled as well. So I figured that all of them need to be repotted. Okay. And we also have this one which I have had for a while, the albicans, and it didn't do a lot as well. So I repotted it. This RZ. It still has some growth, but I don't like the constant shedding of the underleaves that it's doing. So I figured that it would be nice to repot it. We also have this Raviolens, which didn't do well as well. It didn't have a lot of fruits when I uprooted it. So yeah, hopefully it can root a lot more in this type of potting mix. So we also have this on slow, and I totally forgot to repot it on video, but yeah, I think we've already run out of things to discuss. So yeah, I'm gonna be repotting that after this video. But still, I hope that you like the topics that we talked about, the differences of experienced and beginner growers. I hope that you learned a little bit with our topic while we are repotting, and hope that I was able to like accompany you in your gardening routine as well. Probably you're watching these videos while you are gardening, so I hope that I helped out a lot keeping you company. Okay. So yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Please make sure to hit the thumbs up if you haven't already, if you like the video that we did. Okay. And subscribe to the channel. And also share our videos to your friends, if possible, so that we can get a lot more views. You can really support the channel, the things that we are doing here on the channel. And I think that's about it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.